Vacations are too damn expensive. Let's talk about it. I watch some of these YouTubers and vloggers on their vacations and they going to these really nice places, and they eating the best of foods, and they got the really nice hotel rooms. They living life. And my only question to them is how the hell are you doing this? Because I don't care how I try to uh, budget for my vacations, the numbers add up, meaning that it really costs money to do a vacation. I try to and I'm not even talking about the high-end hotels. I'm not talking about flying private. I'm talking about budget ends, Southwest Airline. I'm talking, on the low end of the spectrum when it comes down to taking a vacation. And it's still damn expensive. I mean, think about it. And this is how I kind of do it. Okay. So you got to get to the airport. Now, either one or two ways you're going to get to the airport. You're either going to take like Uber or Lyft, right? And that's probably about $30, $40. Or you can park at the airport. Now, the one I park at, it's about $125 for, I think, a week. Okay. So you got your choice. Now, with people vandalizing the cars at the airport or in the surrounding parking lots, it's probably wiser to take like Uber, where they just drop you off and pick you back up after your trip. Then you got the airfare. Now, Southwest, they advertise they got, specials and all that. But once you factor in all the expenses of that flight, it still come out to probably about $500 or more per person. And again, it depends on where you're going. So let's say if me and a friend go on a flight somewhere, you're looking at probably about $1,000 or more. For the flight for two people after all expenses, tacked on to that flight. Then you got the hotels. Now, I was thinking about going to like Savannah. Now, yeah, you do have some inexpensive hotels, but it's not cheap. It's still gonna cost you. And the average room is like I think, and I'm talking on the low end. I'm not talking like the Marriott, the Hilton, the Hyatt, and all these big time hotels. I'm talking about the little low budget jobs, and it's like $125 or more depending on what part of the week you go. So you're gonna be spending, and let's say if you go somewhere for 5 days. Well, do the math on that. If the room is $150 or more, it adds up quick. Then you're talking your excursions. Okay, so you go somewhere where naturally you want to, do some excursions, go see some things, some attractions and stuff. And again, that's not cheap. So when you factor in whatever that excursion is, I mean, you're talking another $300, $400. And then what about the eating? You got to eat, right? So then you go to the restaurants, and unless you're going to go to like McDonald's or something, and that's not even cheap anymore. To eat at a decent restaurant, you're talking about maybe 60, $70. And that's for one meal for two people. So imagine you got to eat breakfast and you may want to eat some lunch. So then now, what are we talking? How about souvenirs? You want to bring something back and you may want to buy something for somebody else, but even that's not cheap. Souvenirs, and then you got to have some spending money. How much money are you going to take to spend when you're going on a trip? I mean, are you going to spend like $100 a day or $200 a day, depending on You and your friend, are y'all gonna do like 100 a piece, or $50 a piece, or $75? It adds up. Well, I like to take I like to get a rental car when I go places. Just where I can tour the city where I'm going. Like when I went to Dallas, I did Dallas. I'm sorry, when I went to Texas, I did Dallas, I did Fort Worth, I did Austin, I did Houston, and I did San Antonio, which was nice. I flew into Texas and then I rented a car where I can go to the different cities, and I got more bang for my buck by doing that. So a rental car was a must for me, but then how much is a rental car? A rental car can cost you, when I went to Texas, it was about $1,000. It was a little over $1,000 when I did that rental car to Texas. And so, that itself was costly because I don't like to take my own car because I try not to put all those miles on it. And then you got the tolls, some places you go. Now, how much is the tolls when you're going through different places when you're on vacation? That can be costly. I think New York now, I went to New York a couple of years back. Now they charge you to come into like the downtown areas and like Manhattan and all that. So, and I think that's kind of costly too. And what about tips? You got to tip people for their good service, hopefully. That can be, if you're doing 20%, that can kind of add up as well. I tried to do a cheap trip to Detroit, of all places, because they kind of fixing up the downtown area. It looks beautiful. And it's this one blogger, he lives in Detroit. He's real popular on YouTube. And I look at his background, and from what I see, it looks nice. And just to do a 2-day, let's say a 1-day trip to Detroit, uh, and I'm driving down, right? So you're looking at probably about 2 full tanks of gas, or 2 full tanks and a half of gas. And then if you stay in a low budget hotel, which is what I was going to do, now you're looking at probably about $150 a night. So you're looking at about $300 for, let's say, 2 days. And then, you got to eat, and you want to maybe bring some souvenirs, like I was saying, some other things. So you're all in. On the low end, that trip was about $600-700. So imagine if you go to a really nice place, you could be easily talking about $2,000-3,000. And most people say, well, I'll just charge it because I deserve to take me a vacation. I don't like to do it that way. I like to, save up for my vacation. And then this way I use my credit card, right? But then the minute I get back from that trip, I pay that credit card back off because I don't like carrying a lot of debt. And, I don't want to go on a trip today and finance it on tomorrow's earnings, if you know what I mean. So let me know, how do you do it? Because to me, vacations, they are not cheap. Vacations are expensive, just like everything else. So again, this is Kay, back at it with a new video.